Welcome back to Piece of Work. I have another exciting guest with me today. I have Heather Simco, who's a transformation coach and founder of Complete Concierge Solutions and Sober Boss Babe. She helps high achieving women break free from burnout, alcohol, and self sabotage through mental, physical, and emotional sobriety. With 20 plus years in entrepreneurship and over a decade sober, congratulations.
Thank you.
She teaches women how to reclaim their energy, elevate their leadership, and build aligned, high performance lives and businesses. Wow. I can't wait to learn more. Thank you for being here. Tell
Oh,
me
thank you for having me. Yes.
what drew you, I'm curious, to this podcast, and what do you think we will want to talk about today?
Well, yeah. So same, like even what you've been through even in the coaching world, like everything that we're trying to, like when you're reinventing yourselves, having been through so many hardships where you pick yourself back up and do life again. It's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get back up. And to be with other like-minded women who have just lived life, who are ready to share their message, who are willing to be vulnerable. I've lived in too many worlds where women are picking apart each other instead of helping lift each other up. And I think it's so
Absolutely.
important to help each other out, especially in this new world that we're all trying to navigate, which is ever changing, to have more and more connection and just more positive support for one another as opposed to competing. Like, how can we help each other grow? And so having all these connections in the podcast world help you grow, help me grow, help us all live this new dream in a world is just a huge passion of mine to lay that out in any ways we can help each other. It's just so it's fun and to have passion, purpose, and eventually, hopefully, a paycheck behind it.
I
Eventually,
love
will
that.
having
Yes.
all line up is that's the dream. You can't be
I
more
am
blessed than that.
curious. How did you come to this coaching work? What did you do before? What did you do after high school? I love hearing people's
Oh,
stories.
whirlwind. Okay, so I grew up in a family that was self-employed. So my dad repaired spas. I grew up in California. I became self-employed, so to speak, since I was 11. I was a neighborhood babysitter. Like those
Awesome.
babysitters, club
Okay.
books, all that stuff. So I was like the neighborhood babysitter. Like they would line up. Like it was first come, first serve. Like I got to go to
That's
Lake
great.
Tahoe. It was amazing.
Babysitting paid really well, even back in the, you look a little younger than me, but
Yeah.
it, I would make 15, $20 an hour, even
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, yeah. How old are you? Pretty much.
51.
Okay, I'm 45. Yeah. But yeah, so I would let parents decide what they could afford. So it made it always easy. And then they were like,
Mhm.
okay, great, this is in our budget. So it could be from $3 to $10 an hour. And so
That's awesome.
it worked out. It was always booked, which was
Very
fantastic, which
cool.
was a nice safe haven. But my parents were teenagers when they had me. My dad divorced, obviously, because that didn't work. And then remarried. My stepmother was very Cinderella like upbringing and then
Very
moved
cool.
from California to New York, where my stepmother was from, went to college. And my goal was to be a school teacher. And so I went to college for that because it was stable in New York, state teachers make a decent amount of money. And then I met my husband who was self-employed. So he was running at the time an MMA gym in the 90s when it was
Wow.
just in its infancy, like
Neat.
baby infancy. And so now everyone, it's a household
Right.
topic. Back then it was like, what is this Brazilian jiu-jitsu stuff? Like, huh? It's so I met him, he's I'm a family business. And I'm like, rolled up my sleeves. I'm like, I got this. And
Man,
so
yeah.
we built an empire, had my stable job, the health insurance. So we've always teeter-tottered. One of us is a stable, one of us is the building the business. And we built enough that I got to leave my teaching job in 2010 and built the business. So we had 400 members. We were online. We were selling. We have still the biggest book in the topic, over 800
Oh,
pages published, like this giant, basically Bible of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and DVDs before YouTube. Like
that's
from the
cool.
forefront of
Just
instructionals. It was insane. It was such a cool ride.
love
Um,
it.
but it blew up and we eventually had multiple locations. And through all of this, I didn't realize addiction was underneath all of this. And so we ended up bringing on a shareholder, retiring, semi-retiring in our 30s, like living the dream from these homeless. We are actually both homeless and out at 17 years old. So
Yeah.
homeless kids in their teens to like retiring in Naples, Florida in our 30s. It was like, we couldn't have made that up if we tried. And so we moved down here. I have too much time on my hands. And I don't know where you live, but in Naples, in Florida, it's so much easier to get a hold of alcohol
I'm
than
in
it was.
Arizona, by the way.
Okay. Yeah.
It's also warm and
Yes.
attention-like, and
Vacation town. Yeah. So there's
yeah.
happy hours everywhere and getting alcohol. I could go to CVS and buy wine. They didn't sell wine in grocery stores in New York. Like you had to literally work hard to do
Mhm.
it. Or here, it's like you can go to 7-Eleven.
Mhm.
It's,
Oh, yeah. It's so easy to
it falls from the sky. And so
you can even order it on
now,
nowadays.
post
Yeah.
COVID, I'm like, thank God I'm sober now is really all to say. Oh
I'm
my
not
gosh.
drinking alcohol. I'm
No,
drinking
I don't care. To each their own.
celebrating.
Everyone's on their journeys. But so we came down here. And so I've always been like between a school teacher, I've always been the mom of the group. I've never had a really healthy mom relationship. I reconnected with my mom when I was older. She didn't raise me. I was cut off from her. And so we have this, she was 16 when she had me. So we're friends, are we sisters? Like it's always this,
Right.
I have a relationship, but
It's not a
it's,
normal
it's
mom daughter relationship.
no, not at all. And then I've forgiven my stepmom, but for healthy boundary reasons, we're not in touch anymore. But we moved down here and I had too much time on my hands. I got in a car accident, rear ended like the first 2 weeks we were down here. And I couldn't do any of the martial arts that I was used to doing. Like I taught the kids class and women's classes. And so I've always been in an industry where I've always been helping counseling, whether it's kids, teens, self-defense for women
Yeah.
and all of that. And it's just always been in there since I can even remember. That was always my passion. And so alcoholism hit, I hit my bottom. We found a church and I found women who introduced me to sobriety. It took me about a year or so before I finally my surrender moment, which
Brain spit. Yeah.
yeah, it was my anniversary is actually on the 30th of this month, April 30th. So I have 12 years. And
That's amazing.
I
Congratulations.
hit, thank you. And so I hit that I just can't do this anymore. Like literally I couldn't work. I was in the loop of doctors and pay whatever, like, I can't remember what it's called, but when you get in a car accident, the car insurance pays for this stuff, not your actual health insurance. And
Mm.
so I was in this like mill. We were foreclosing in a house in New York. Our shareholder sued us because of a hungover email I sent. And then I'm suing my insurance company who is now deposing me because I somehow made it up. Like I wanted to lose all of this over getting rear-ended.
Wow.
Like I did that on purpose. And really, alcoholism became that pivotal moment where I had to deal with just me, all the things underneath it. And to then be able to transform coming out of we lost a business. Luckily, we didn't lose a house or anything else. Like I'm one of the fortunate ones in recovery. I didn't have the DUI, we call it yet. Like you're eligible too. Everything else was intact, but it was on that barrier. The fact that my marriage survived is a miracle in itself.
It is a
Yeah.
miracle. It's no small
Yeah.
miracle,
No,
actually.
it's huge. I don't
Marriages
take it for
don't
granted.
survive even lesser stresses than
I'm
that.
very well aware. Yes. And so we at church, fast forward, we ended up getting voluntold. I got put on the board, my husband on the worship team from our previous lives, which was insane. And now he's the lead pastor. I'm a pastor's wife.
Oh my
In
gosh, how cool.
recovery.
What a
So
change. Like,
it,
what
it
a
took a little flip.
transformation.
MMA to like running a church. It's like the behaviors, it's similar. Humans are humans. I say just because
Right.
there's a steeple, it doesn't change the people, but the human nature is the same. So we're in a very similar mindset. But coaching has just, it's always been I've always been the mom figure to people who because I didn't have one. And so I've always been everyone's mom, which is funny. And rebuilding my entire life and what that looks like and being self-employed. So I've done a lot of work just doing admin and helping business women on the back end really kind of help clean up their business and help them propel forward. And it was so much more counseling than it was logistics and all of that. And so I'm like, I should really just be paying for the counseling side, not the logistics side. And so that's really where I made that massive transition where instead of I do still have some admin clients that I've just known for so long, but to be able to coach in that recovery world and really my goal now is to help, whether you're addicted or not, helping women who put themselves on the back burner, who are so high achieving, but we don't know how to take care of ourselves and find that healthy work-life balance. And you don't have to be addicted to be an addict to be addicted, being sober-minded mentally,
That's great.
physically, and emotionally. Like we get caught up in toxic relationships, in our emotions, in the food that we put inside of ourselves, and or coping mechanisms. My first drug of choice was food. Same or a different brand. And so trying to help women really identify cleaning the body so that they can be that sober boss babe. So it's not necessarily putting down a drink, it's putting down the things that are holding you back so you can propel forward. And that's
It's
really
beautiful.
thank you.
Love that.
To be able to do that has been it's so amazing. And I have success stories, but I've also got a lot of good, bad examples of what happens when someone who wants it but doesn't want it enough to
Right.
change. And so I'm just so passionate about helping women find that and from other women and supportive because business world is I was in most industries are dominated by men. And so
That's what I was gonna ask you is
yeah.
how did you come to did it take some time to come to the niche of high achieving women, as you said? Or
Yes, and I
did you at
heard you
first be
talking
like, "Wait, I resonate with men too," and I
yeah.
could
I personally,
beautiful.
because I've worked in the male industry, I've lived in a locker room for 20 years. I don't work with men. I'll work with men if they're attached to the woman first, out
Yeah.
through them, because the emotional connection, that's not my job. My job, I'm going to help the woman first. If even in our ministry, my husband's, I'll talk to you once, go talk to my wife, because you don't want any pitfalls. It's part of having a successful relationship after so long is not letting that in So yeah, but to niche down, because I know you're on the same journey. It's like there's so many
Mhm.
programs out there. I'm like, I thought I had a niche. Okay. Now I knew it in my real world, the people around me, but how do you put that into words online that makes sense to people? And so I finally found it now. That high achieving, that silver, this is like finally cultivated where it was resonating with people, where I finally got some traction. I was like, finally. But I know with you, it's like banging your head on the wall. You're like, okay.
Yeah. And it's funny because I have such a broad kind of experience I've gone through. What should be my niche? Should I talk to divorced women? Should I
Mhm.
talk to people going through with who have kids going through addiction? Should
Mhm.
I talk to people who've had are breast cancer survivors? And I never liked having one subject matter be the
Yeah.
niche. I wanted it to be more of like an energy or like a type of rather than a specific demographic. So
Yeah.
I'm still working through it, and
Yeah.
my podcast is called Piece of Work, and my book,
Yeah.
my memoir, Piece of Work. We're all a piece of work, a work in progress, and a work of art. And so
Exactly.
I actually love the journey, and I realized that almost the podcast is the product. Like I having a broad spectrum of different viewpoints. Yesterday, I interviewed someone about marriage, and I have a breast cancer survivor coming on soon. So we'll see where it goes, but that's
Yeah.
very fascinating that you were able to hone it in and find a niche that made sense
Yeah.
with your background.
Even for now, but it's still like I've worked with moms, like it's still my goal is to eventually open to any woman. I think that at least the sober part of mind, body, and spirit opens it to, because for me, I can really, it's any woman. I work
Right.
with 20 something year old. I work with 70 something year old. Like
Right.
and that's what happened to me first. I'm like, I just want to help women. Which ones? I'm like, why do I have to define that?
Why
Like,
do I have to decide? Yeah.
just women, I can help you. Please call me. I got you. That's, I feel your pain. It was just, that was the most frustrating part of pivoting online, because in the real world, a woman's, these are my problems. I'm like, okay, let's walk through them. Like, it just go to Heather for help. And to have to be so specific online makes it feels constricting. And I'm sure you feel
Yeah.
that too.
But I think that there's a difference between who you're marketing to and who you
Mhm.
can actually serve. Like,
Yes,
I think
exactly.
it's important to pick a niche so that people know what you're offering, I think. And
Yeah.
then, like you said, later it can expand. It doesn't
Yeah.
like you only help people who are recovering addicts or,
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah. Exactly. Just women in general. But yeah, I've figured, okay, if I can get laser focus, I at least have an audience. And the more people who I can serve, then it can fan out from there. So
absolutely.
then it'll happen naturally. So I was like, okay, if I don't find something that makes sense to me, it'll my message. Because like I said, I can help you build a bit. I've helped so many different angles in all the different walks of life.
Mhm.
Fitness, wellness, the same thing with you. It's which one do I pick? But that's
Right. Very
I'll put it all in the
interesting.
package. Yeah. So I
So
feel
do
you pain.
you help people who are trying to become sober or only once they've already become sober or
All of the above. It can be in any realm, honestly.
you can help with addiction, you can help with just wanting to rise to the next level, you can help with
Yes.
someone who's struggling or someone who's actually rising above it and wanting to know what's next.
Because there's layers. Like, I'm at 12 years, and there's so many different phases once you're sober, that to be able to catch at different places to prevent either backsliding, certain habits, because we put one thing down doesn't mean there's not something else. It usually channels itself. And so for women who have already put down the drink, who are actually self-identified as addicts, helping them figure out how to channel that energy to something constructive instead of deconstructive, because it's how our minds are wired. And then for someone who's just getting sober, I've sponsored plenty of women. So there's plenty of tools for me to help them get past that in the proper support system to clean up and then move to the next level. So really, and even like you as a mom who has a child who's dealing with addiction, I counsel families. There's so many different realms, because it is a very insidious disease. It comes with a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of lies. And unless you live that or walk that path, it's very hard for someone to walk you through that, because they don't know what that feels like.
Right.
It is a pain in itself that is just unlike anything else. And like any other hardship, someone who has cancer is going to understand that better, but especially in this realm. So it
The
really
addiction, yeah, I think is specifically people are not going to want to follow or be coached by someone who hasn't experienced it
it
themselves.
takes one to know one. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like I said, the mindset we walk through, especially in ministry, is the people who are on the receiving end, the family members, helping them identify it, not enabling them. Like, there's so many other tools on the other end to help them to alleviate the pain that they're feeling, that watching their loved one go through something so horrible, because my husband watching me through this is just
Yeah,
we've lived that pain and come out on the other side, and it's an ugly disease, it really is, and it's very unforgiving, and it doesn't discriminate, and that's the other thing too.
that is for sure. Yeah.
It doesn't care
So
what you look like or where you come from.
so true. So for the woman who's listening, who may be questioning, do I maybe I have a problem? Maybe I should get some help. What would you offer? Like what right here on the podcast, what could they do today to begin that healing journey? Or short of calling you, obviously that would be
Yeah, of course, yeah, but honestly, that is, if you're asking, it's probably true. And we know that as women, like, we're so intuitive. We know if you have a problem with it, if you're hiding it, you're probably, if you're not willing to talk about it openly, you probably have a problem with it. So I would say I'm working on actually putting together a quiz, like, "Are you addicted?" type of thing. So I'll be putting that on my I have to build that, so that's fun. Uh,
Mhm. I am
it's
right there. I'm
me,
also
myself,
building
and
this
I.
quiz.
My daughter's like my team is really, thank God she's
That's
21
awesome.
now. But to be able to do that, so that's a really good tool, or any of the tools that are out there, but to really self-discovery first, really start looking at, is my life manageable? Is this where, if you really think you might have a problem, you probably do. Like, I started with self-help books. I was looking for every other version to control my
Mhm.
drinking for years. So if you are looking, I now we have Amazon, but back in the day with Barnes& and Noble, you actually went in person to pick up books.
Yep, I remember those days.
Dinosaurs here. It's like our middle age. Oh, that'll help. So if anyone's in any of that, then their local tools, just, I would find something trusted, whether it's your church, a local recovery group, just get on the phone with someone trusted and start that journey for yourself to really discover whether or not that's for you, or if it's a coping mechanism, because there is gray area in that. So there's the addict, but where do you fall? Is it just a bad habit and coping that's hurting you, or is it truly an addiction? Figuring that out. So sometimes,
Yeah,
like,
and it could be self-medicating too.
definitely,
Um,
yeah.
and
Which
I
can
don't know
then,
what that makes it the handling of it different or not, but
yeah, and that's where, okay, what are you then that's where I would come in, is help you. What are you not dealing with that you need to cope with, that you're self-soothing with, that's you're escaping from that. And that's where you don't necessarily have to be an addict. We all have trauma. We all have the world that we live in. So what is it that you're not willing to face, and really look at that? And that's just another tool of, what is that? And then how can we find a healthier way for you to manage, as opposed to something that's harmful? And it could be just, you do this instead and you still have your one glass of wine if you're not truly an alcoholic. Like, it's
okay.
going to look different for every person. And that's why I do
I think
offer
that's
concierge. Yeah,
yeah, that's cool. That's a cool distinction because I think that's a fear is, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to have a drink again if I admit I have a problem.
exactly.
And
That
that's
was me,
not
but
always the
it's
case.
not always the case. It really isn't. Some people just, they just have a bad bout because there's sugar, there's certain just mechanisms in any of those substances to keep you addicted. Even in our food, they
Mhm.
put things in there to make sure that you want it, as opposed to, when you take it out of your system, are you actually truly addicted to it, or were you just leaning on that you
Right.
can go back to it in a smaller amount? No one should be eating sugar in large amounts, but usually
Right.
most of us, once we had it in,
Can have a little bit of
check,
sugar.
you can have a cupcake. You're
Yeah.
not
You're not going to
gorging
throw
on it
out
all
the
the time or
entire
totally addicted
world.
to it. So I would equate it more to that. So if you're afraid, like, "Oh gosh, I'll never have a glass of wine again," which for me, that was me, may not be you. You might be able to figure out what else in your body needs to be taken care of healthfully, so that you might not be in necessarily that spectrum, but catching it, because it can become, you don't have to be an addict for it to start ruining your health. The inflammation, us as women with hormones, there's so many other
So,
pitfalls when you're
yeah,
over soothing with any kind of escape mechanism that you happen to like.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, can you speak a little bit to the difference for people who might be listening who might not really know? Like, why would somebody go to a transformational coach versus a therapist to deal with these kind of issues?
Yeah. So my role in this is, and I've been through therapy and I fully believe in that. I'm here for you when you're done with it. Like, I'm not going to dig out your past. We can use and know what those triggers are to know how to better respond. But huge thing, even the way we do church, we stay in our lane. If there's a therapist who needs to deal with your trauma, go to them, a qualified person who can handle that. If you have ADHD or you need medicated, there's something else that you need to deal with, take care of that first. As a life transformation coach, it's, you cleaned up your past, you need guidance to move forward. I still have a coach, and
Totally. No, I would have
yeah,
said it the same way.
yeah,
I was curious how you would say
yeah.
it. But I agree. Yeah.
It's a
They
movement
both have
forward.
their place. It's not one that's better
Entirely.
than the other. They're just
No,
different.
they're different tools, and having the most, I always say, especially with so many mental illness and all the different things that are out there, you figuring out what makes you I'm not going to step in someone else's lane. There's a medical level, there's all these different things. Once you have those under control, now let's look at all of that, look at all the pieces of your life, and how do we move forward with the tools, with what you have now to move forward so you don't stay back in those old habits. And that's where the transformation actually truly happens, because we wanted to stick, get you there and keep you there. That's the main point, honestly.
Love it. Yeah, and I think that it's important to know what triggers you have so that you don't fall into it again, because life is
Hmm.
going to keep going on. There's going to keep
Oh,
being things that don't go
oh
as
yeah.
expected and bring you down, and you got to have a different tool, like you said,
Yeah.
to go to
Yeah.
when you encounter difficulties,
Yeah.
to find resilience and to find how to self-soothe without hurting yourself.
Without harming yourself.
Yeah.
Me, I mean, I dove in with my coach over the past year and a half because I put down the drink, but my first drug of choice was food. Like you can't not eat. And that food addiction is honestly,
Right.
I think it's one of the worst because everything else you can
Yeah,
abstain
it's
from.
not like you could just quit cold turkey eating,
Yeah.
obviously.
You can't not eat. That's not, it's
It's the
just,
same with my struggle. My biggest struggle was relationship addiction, like love addiction,
yeah.
like, for lack of a better.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
And it was very hard. I remember saying at the time, this was like more than a decade ago that I went through this. And it was like, how do you, it's not like at Alcoholics Anonymous, you just give up the drink, you just
Yeah.
never drink again, and you just stay away from bars. But you can't stay away from relationships. You can't stay
Yeah.
away from, can't stay away from people. They're
No,
part of what
exactly.
makes us human. And so you have to find a
Precisely.
way to ingest the relationships healthfully.
And that's finding the different tools, putting up boundaries. That's a huge part of what I work with women for because, like I said, we're such people pleasers. We're natural caregivers. And so there's a hard time of knowing when to put that boundary up and make sure that you're taking care of yourself without feeling selfish or guilty about it so that you can continue to help with other people and put those boundaries in place. But to the relationship and for you, I can totally relate to that because I was getting into similar female friendships as my stepmother relationship. I didn't have daddy issues. It took me until, oh my gosh, halfway through my sobriety where I'm at now, where I realized I'm like, I keep picking friends, female friends, just like my stepmother. Why do we end up with these friendships with women? We can feel like I'm 4 years old. I'm
Mm.
like, holy
That
cow.
that's
Like,
interesting to look at.
it blew my mind. I was like, "Holy moly." And I, like, saw the chain reaction, like, literally left my house. I ended up in a friendship just like I was like, this has gotta stop. I have a bad picker for friends." It wasn't with men, it was with
Aw.
females. Because you don't expect it. It's like a blind spot. You're like,
Mm.
"Oh, yeah, it's the friendsets," but they're just as toxic, if not
Oh,
worse
yeah.
sometimes.
I
So,
actually that the episode that I published yesterday was about friendship. Why is adult friendship so hard?
yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I know all friendships are hard, like, I
And
especially
then there's the thing about, like, people just deciding, "Okay, it's toxic," and I just end the friendship too,
yeah,
which is also it's one thing to put a boundary, but it's another thing to, like, just throw people away because they're quote unquote toxic when,
yeah, without
like,
having a conversation. Like,
yeah, right. We are a human being.
yeah,
Like,
one of
we
my pet
sometimes
peeves. Oh
forget
my
that
god.
person has feelings,
Yeah.
even if they're not the nicest person or they've messed up in some way. It's like,
There's a way to leave a relationship responsibly, and that's where I'm like, "Okay, hurt people hurt people. You try not to take it personally." But yeah, no, it reminds me of 7th grade trauma of the girl group who were like, "We decided you can't be in the group anymore." And I was like, "Okay." It's like, "What? You had
that
a
actually
powwow
brings
about
me,
this?"
yeah. Have you experienced? I've seen, like, in a number of people that I've coached and people that I've known,
Mhm.
friends that I've had, where as you find success and you go down a different path, you really push people away inadvertently. Like, you lose friendships over
Oh,
because you're
100%.
just they're not coming with you. They're not going where you're going. They're
Yeah.
not in the same.
I have a prime example. Yeah. You're in one spot, you evolve, and they don't. And that's happened, especially the more I continue to grow and work, and I see they refuse to change, and they naturally dissipate. It's not that I have to cut them off entirely, but the friendship
Just
looks very
changes
different. Yeah.
organically almost.
Yeah, and recognizing that's a huge pattern. That's all in everything that we're doing in transformation coaching is helping you look at your life differently to maximize you as a person for the best version of yourself, as opposed to just burning bridges. Like, no, there's nothing healthy about that. You gotta Well, how do we walk through this and build? For me, it was building a proper community of women who I could trust, who I relied on, who were really there for the genuine nature of helping me out, as opposed to cutting me down or actually genuinely care about each other, which is a hard thing to cultivate, but once you have that fertile soil, it's almost a priceless thing to be able to have in your life. And so also why I'm so passionate about doing this is it took me forever. I was so much easier around men because it's just very cut and dry. You just
Hmm.
tell them like it is.
So much
Yep.
less emotion and
It's
like,
just that's it. It's and they might cry about it. I was a little harsh, But this, my husband calls me the emasculator, which is he's fine. He's strong enough to deal with me, but all of the other men in my world, he's watch out
Yeah.
heavens here. But when it comes to women, it's, oh, when I get my recovery, I've had to do like a recovery job. So I worked at Kate Spade part time. Oh my gosh. The
You
fights over commissions. I'd step on toes and even know it was due. I'm like, what am I at? I
just
felt
trying to
like
do my job
I
here.
was in high school all over again with like grown women. I was like, okay. The minute I could kick tail out of there, I was done. I was like, holy, that was a very good learning experience, but never again. I was like, no. So I truly believe it's so much more important, especially as we're grown, responsible women, to have healthy relationships with one another instead of cut each other down. There's nothing productive
Absolutely.
whatsoever.
By the way, speaking of building each other up and giving compliments, I can't, the picture's a little not the greatest, but your hair looks gorgeous. It's
Oh, thank
very
you.
shiny and
Thank
pretty.
you. Appreciate that. Thank
What's
you.
your secret to long, shiny hair?
A good healthy routine. I make sure to use good shampoos. I don't know. I haven't over dieted too much. If you send me good products. It's worth good products to put in your hair is really what it comes down to. If you're going to invest
And
in anything.
probably what you put inside your body makes
Yeah,
it.
inside and outside, I
Well,
take all my vitamins. Like I said, in perimenopause, I was like, oh my gosh, my
yeah.
hair started falling out. I was like, oh dear Lord. It's like when I had my daughter, I was like, I took long enough taking care of my hair to let it grow out.
Yes.
Start from scratch again. Yeah, yeah, inside and
Trying
out.
to grow mine out, but it doesn't really get much longer than this.
Yeah. But yeah, supplements are really great for that, but also just, and oh, ashwagandha, that.
I do take that.
Yes, that I take, like, gummies before I go to bed. That's been a major tool. A lot of good, like, natural health growth serums and stuff too that really
Right.
help with that, and just good products. Can send you some of my
Yeah. Side note, I
products.
know that was not your main. That's not your main one.
I'm that person, I'm the maven. I like, if I find a product I love, I can't tell enough people because I don't want the company to go out. I'm sure everyone knows what UFOs are now because I got in a car accident, and so finding comfortable shoes, like, they were a life changer. And you live in a warm weather place, so
Mhm.
too, because all of our floors are tile from
Yep.
carpet up north. And I'm like, it was killing me. So UFOs, they were just coming out. I was like, please, Lord, do not let this company close. Now they're everywhere. I'm like, thank you. I
I
will never
haven't
run
worn
out.
them yet. I might have to get some.
They're amazing. I should probably just have a link of all my favorite things. So yeah,
You
I will
should.
always
You
different.
actually probably could get paid affiliate.
Anytime I find a favorite
Could be a little
product,
side business.
I shoot it from everywhere. I'm like, I find a good restaurant, anything. I'm like, I'm the first person to like let everyone know, like, you've got to do this.
So short of just referring people to everywhere, we talked a little bit about this, but how are you working with people right now? I know it's obviously evolving. You'll probably have new programs in 6 months, but for right now, are you doing one-on-one coaching predominantly? Do you do group coaching? Do you have a program or
I
something?
have levels, yeah. So I have an online community where you can pay a monthly fee to come in, and I go in live and we work, and we have lots of just really healthy women I've worked with. So even if I can't answer questions, you have other positive women in there lifting each other up and working through their issues. So I have the online community, which is the lowest touch point, makes it more affordable to at least get into
What's it
just
called?
working with me. It's Sober Boss Babe community. So
Okay.
it's all Sober
On your
Boss Babe.
website. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your website? Is it Sober Boss?
HeatherSimco.com. And then my program is Sober Boss Babe, but I'm advertising my name for the most part. And
Got it.
then I have a reset course with just 3 days I had a 3-day challenge. I turned it into a course where it's mind, body, and basically emotions. And you can do it at your own pace. So you can purchase that on the website. And then if you're ready for the one-on-one, you just want to get cut straight to, I'm ready to change at my concierge. You do consultation, make sure that we work well because I want to make sure if we're going to go on journey together, we're a good fit. Or I have so many women like you, I have other people in my arsenal. And if I can't help you, I'd rather make sure you get the help that you need to get. So those are the
That's
three
really
main
cool.
touch points. And then I'm working on my book right now, calling the Sober Boss Babe Blueprint, Breaking the Bottle to Rebuilding the Boss. And I have a retreat I'm planning at the end of the year because I'm in Naples. I have a giant building at my
Maybe you need
disposal.
a partner for that. Maybe I'll.
That's what I'm saying. And so everyone I'm talking to, I'm like, yes.
Sure.
No, and a lot of the women I'm working with is that everyone has a different specialty, is to invite different people to
Together.
speak or share their different angles. Because that's what makes us all so wonderful is we have a different angle of what we're helping each other with to find the right fit for a coach or transformation. And to just be in a reset mindset that allows you to just meet other like-minded women that are all going through this together as business
Right.
women and in the sea of insanity that's going on out there, or competing with each other. Just really, it's another way to network and really meet people that are like-minded because it's lonely in the
Yeah,
entrepreneurial world,
it can be.
you know?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes you're like, am I reaching anyone?
Yeah, exactly. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
So when you were talking on the last one, I was like, oh my gosh, yep. I was like, I've
I
been
feel
there. It's like, so the more we can communicate with each other, and that's been so anywhere I can help is just that natural, innate version of me. I love to see people reach their potential, and because I've been stifled in so many parts of my life that I could only imagine what would happen if I had the right kind of support early enough on. And
Yeah.
most of us don't have that because life is life. You don't always win the parent lottery. And
No, but I
it's
think sometimes when one idea I've been exploring is yes, it sucks. We all want to have this perfect upbringing, but sometimes the struggles that you had early on, they can either traumatize you or they can also traumatize you, but then you can grow from that and rise from it and become like I think of a butterfly.
Mhm.
Speaking of
That's all my
transformation.
logos. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
like be
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not surprised at all because
Yeah.
it's the perfect image of transformation and it's literally the struggle that makes it beautiful and strong. It
Yeah.
wouldn't be like that if it didn't do the work. And so you can't have that if you have this cushy, easy life. You can't
No.
have resilience unless you are something tries to break you. So it's
Yeah. It made me a massive problem solver. I'm now at 17 years old. I moved cross country. I didn't have a driver's license, a car. I had a few $100 to my name.
wow.
I'm like, okay, I need to get a job. I worked in the bookstore, so I need to get a discount on my books. Like, you have to become very innovative when you go through hardships and you become a massive problem solver for survival. And so, what if it doesn't what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So if you can have the mindset of, all right, this isn't going to break me, you can move forward from it and learn from it. Yeah, at this point, it wouldn't change anything I've been through, all the hardships, because on the flip end, to be able to help other people with it, I wouldn't be
Absolutely.
here right now if I haven't been through what I've been through. So,
Completely agree about all the stuff I've been through. And I think that's what I'm trying to reach people about is that I think that on some level, some people are naturally just more resilient, more innovative, more just their mindset is growth oriented and they're geared automatically to just to take anything that happens to them. They're just like, okay, where am I going from here? And they
mhm.
do it almost intuitively. But I think it can also be taught. I think that mindset and that, what do you think about that? Do you think that's true? Or do you think somebody kind of has to?
I think we're all wired a little different. I don't know. I think it depends on the experience. It's really, it's almost like a free will thing. I think the person has to decide for themselves whether they want to let themselves be buried under or whether they want to rise from. Because like my biological mother, she's been through her own trauma, but she's just now in her 60s trying to work out instead of living like a lot of people use it as their identity. And I know a lot of people do this. They use it as a sense of victimhood to get more attention as opposed to thriving from it. So I just, in my experience in the world of ministry and mental health, I think it depends. Everyone's got a different, I would say a cocktail, for lack of a better term. That's what I'm
Very
at.
ironic term.
Everyone's got a different cocktail of their mental illnesses. So I think it's
Right.
really, it's everyone's a little bit different. And what is the breaking point? And the same thing in recovery. What is the point at which that someone goes, enough is enough. I'm ready to change.
Yeah.
And that person has to decide for themselves. I think you can, I don't know if you can teach it. I think it's some kind of thing inside of you that's got to rise. And now it's like what diamonds are
You
made
can
under
only
pressure.
teach it when somebody's ready to receive it.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes they have to go through it. And I've seen people lose so much. And you're like,
I love what you
what's your
said, and I
body?
tried to write it down, but
Oh, yeah.
handwriting was too messy, and I was trying to still look at you. A person has to decide for themselves whether they want to be buried under it or what was the
Rise
thing?
above it.
Rise from it, rise above it.
Yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah.
think that's the truth, whether you're talking about addiction, whether you're talking about,
Anything.
getting a diagnosis or losing a family member
Yeah.
or anything
You
really.
you can use anything. You can use a broken nail as a reason to be upset for the day,
Yeah.
honestly.
No, I think, yeah, even like today, I found out that I was hoping that I would renew my lease, and I found out that's not going to happen, that my landlord doesn't want to renew. And I was like, oh, okay. At first, I was like, oh, shoot, that's really wasn't my plan. And then I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I started getting really excited. Okay, now I have this much time and I can do this and that, and I can start dreaming and start planning. And maybe I'll sell some furniture, maybe kind of.
Especially as entrepreneurs, it turns almost it sometimes it's almost like you have to hit an obstacle to figure out how to get over it.
Oh, I
And
love that. Yes.
it's really important.
Otherwise, you just keep going and you get bored.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes the challenge kind of makes you. So but like I said, every person that thing, if we go full circle, what you're talking about with addiction and dealing with family members, you can't decide that for anyone else. And that's what I've learned even in sponsoring, helping other people, especially ministry, of the gamut of any amount of problems you can possibly imagine we've seen and or dealt with. But really what it is, you can't want it more than the person wants it. They
Right.
have to want it for themselves because everyone needs it, but not everyone wants it. That's us as transformation coaches is when that spark hits and the person truly wants transformation for themselves, that's a moment at which the magic can begin happening. But until they're ready to get honest with themselves, to know, because none of it's, if you've been through stuff, it's never an easy walk in the park to clean up your past and change all of your habits in the way that you know how to live life. So
Yeah.
and I tell people it's not gonna be quick, or this isn't like a 6-week diet. If in order to truly transform, you have to change. And that takes work and real grit. And so someone has to be ready for that transformation and they have to want it more than you want it for
And I think
themselves.
that's one of the hardest things about substance abuse is that you've trying to fix something that's already broken underneath. And then you've just added a whole new problem that you have to
Yes.
like recover from. And then once you're recovered from that, you still have all the reasons that led you to drink in the
Exactly.
first place.
So
So it's
and
like,
that's where the work begins. Exactly. It's like,
it's hard. It's
it
like
is.
you've
The
just
storm
made
stops.
it that much more
Yeah.
complicated and difficult. It's such a short term solution to a
Yeah. And that's what I try and tell people. How much
problem.
more of a mess do you want to clean up if you don't stop now? You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like, really, because the longer you go, it's always worse, never better. Like,
Yeah.
how much more do you want to clean up? It's like a storm. The hurricane hits, you're gonna have to clean up. But how much more of a mess do you want to clean up
Yeah.
after this? And
Yeah.
that's up to you. And that's up to every person. That's where the heartbreaking part comes in. And that's where I do work with a lot of people, help them keep themselves whole as best as possible while you're helpless. Like, just when you see someone going through that's like, why don't you love yourself? Like, all the whys, and
Yeah.
like I said, and that's with any hardship that people can either, like I said, they can get buried by it or dig themselves out. It's really up to them.
Yeah. And you can only do so much as somebody who wants to help.
Yeah.
Either
And
from a
the
coaching
point,
relationship or a personal relationship.
yeah. And there's a point of enabling. You have to be very careful that you're helping is that can actually hurt. And that's a fine
Mhm.
line as well. And
Yeah.
so that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, we had a whole conversation about that last night in the parent group that I'm part of. Your child is not you. Their success and their failure is separate from you.
Yeah.
It's hard, especially as a parent.
Oh, yeah. It's like a piece of your heart is out in the world. You're like, no,
Yeah.
unless you're a parent and you can't understand that. It's just, my dog drives around, I'm like, feels like
Yeah.
part of my heart is in a car. I can't drive.
Oh, I feel you. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow,
Definitely.
we've covered a lot of ground. Tell me
Think
if
so.
for anything else that you want to share or anything you want to ask me or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's your podcast, but what's your venture look like right now? Like,
Well,
what was your lease actually? What were you doing in the real world?
so I'm a nurse, I'm an author, I'm a coach. I have a long journey that got me here too.
Likewise. Yes.
I was a realtor for 25
Mhm.
years. What else? It's a journalism major the first time I went to college, and so
Oh, wow.
I was always a writer, and I always wanted to write a book. And then I went through this kind of transformational journey myself. I was raised Jewish and became a Christian. And then
Then the big jump.
yeah, and so my first book, my memoir, a piece of work, is about that journey, that faith journey, and then all the ways I threw everything up, threw everything away, like really blew up my whole life and messed
Yeah.
things up with the love addiction thing in my marriage, and then coming full circle to learning to love myself, knowing that I had God's love, even if I didn't have anyone else's.
Yeah.
And then, so through that all, then I later decided that if I had it to do all over again, I think I'd go back to, I think I'd be a nurse. And
Mhm.
so one day I was like, I was in my 40s. I'm like, I think I will.
Yeah.
So I did.
Yeah.
And so I've been a nurse for about 5 years and I do OB nursing. I love moms and babies.
Oh,
So I'm passionate about parents, so whether they're new parents. And then I do a little bit of health insurance for Medicare. So I've
yeah.
got the older clients on the other end.
Oh, yeah.
We're a little bit like helping people at all ends of life.
Sounds
And
like me.
yeah, and
I
just like
get
you,
it.
I want to be a
Yes.
transformational coach.
Mhm.
I call myself a life and resilience coach.
Yeah.
Because
Life and
I've
trans. Yeah.
settled on resilience as the thing that bouncing back from the hardest things. And someone asked me once, like, how are you so resilient? Like, how do you just do that with whatever happens, whether it's a phone call or someone talking to you rudely, and I was like, a lot of experience dealing with
Yeah.
difficult things, and I created a process that it's called the 5R resilience method, and it's
Mhm.
refresh, renew, release, reconnect, and rise. And so I've
Yeah.
just finished a manuscript for my second book called Resilient, and working on that. And then I've done one-on-one coaching. I'm working on a group program, and then I would also like to create a couple of smaller products, workbooks, membership. I'm not sure, and I'd love
Yeah.
to create an evergreen program too that someone could purchase that just could get the basics without
Yeah.
without investing full
It's a good
force.
entry point. Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
Same thing.
So yeah,
It's
I'm very similar, but very
yeah.
different, similar, like on the coaching side, just trying to help people have more impact with what I've learned about things, not as an expert, but as somebody who's walked through some hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can't get better experience than having lived it. And that's what you can,
Yeah.
I've been in the education world too. It's like there's book knowledge and then there's life knowledge. Something might look good on paper and theory, but until it's in practice, you don't even know whether it's actually going to work or not. But when someone's actually walked through the real lifestyle, and that's that you turning your message into your message and be able to walk people through it,
That's the
the
best.
human experience, that's what makes the difference. And people resonate with the resilience of and the mindset of what that takes, like not being broken down or changing all of those things. It's a cornerstone of making sure that transformation. So
So
no,
true. Is
it's
there anything
yeah.
you would say to somebody who maybe has never really considered that they were capable of owning their own business or starting something on their own, but maybe is curious and wants to? What would you offer as a starting point for that person, or what things should they think about to know if that's even something that they should consider?
If you think, oh, it's so freeing. It's terrifying.
Hmm.
It's a different walk of life, but in my own personal experience, and that I'm working with women even personally, like they've had their job set, but to have the ultimate freedom of being able to take I would say, what's your passion? What's your purpose? What are you naturally good at? Like what light, I would ask a person, what lights you up first? Like, and that's for me, like doing this, I don't feel exhausted at the end of the day. Like it's, hey, I know I'm an addict. It's like a natural high. It's actually,
Yeah,
both it's
totally.
not a nice. I'm like,
I so agree. Yeah.
yeah, and so I would encourage any woman if they want to do it, there's a path for everyone, and we're so fortunate. We live in a digital world. There's so many tools at your disposal, and we live in a country where we, as women, have the opportunity to live any direction we want to live in if you want to do it. So I would first want her to figure out like what is it that truly lights you up and gives you passion, and then what does it look like to be self-employed. You just start there, and then you can map it out from there. It can be digital in person.
And you can do it while you're still working your full-time job if you have a
Yeah,
full-time job.
exactly.
And I think that one thing you said, what lights you up? What are you passionate about? Sometimes people tend to think, I'm not really passionate about anything. And they discount those little what lights you up because it's like they're not feeling electric light lit up. They're feeling maybe just a little spark and
Yeah.
they discount it because of that. And I think that's important. Listen to those nudges and listen to where your things are showing up just in your regular life.
And usually it starts with either hobbies, it starts with whatever it is that, you did as a kid. Some people it's travel, like everyone's got something. It can be even just food. You can be a food critic. Like there's
Mhm.
so many avenues. People are very surprised. The smallest of thing that you like to do can be expanded into a business. It's just
Yeah.
thinking outside the box and figuring out what that looks like. And so walking them through that and bringing it into life. And like I said, I've done that with a lot of women in the church already. They're like, really? I'm like,
Yeah.
that's needed.
It is.
Like, wow, okay.
And sometimes it's easier to see that in other people than even in yourself. If you're a kind of a natural coach, I think
Yeah.
you hear someone's story and be like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, you should do this and this."
Yeah. That's our job. We're the superpower is catching people's blind spots.
Being
They're
able
like,
to
yeah, you've seen that and
see what
seeing
other yeah, helping them
in
shift their perspective.
exactly. That's why I still need a coach. I'm like, is everything, even what I do is so close. I'm
Yes,
like,
even though you
all
can do
right,
it for other people, you need someone to do it for you.
yeah, you can't do it for
Yeah.
yourself. And I've learned that the hard way. I'm like, you can't coach yourself. You can't give yourself therapy.
Yeah.
You can't,
Well,
you always need another person in. And that
ChatGPT may be good for like small little things, but you do
yes.
not want ChatGPT to be your coach.
Exactly. AI helps a little bit, but at the same time, I don't know people like at the end of the day, you probably still need to go to a therapist because it's not as certified that PTSD trauma
Yes,
therapist. Like
exactly.
you need to actually like deal with that. It can give you
Exactly.
it's just pulling stuff on the internet that humans made. So why don't you just go see the human?
I guess I am on that note, do you think, and I know how I feel about this, are you worried about AI taking over and the human component being lost completely?
I think people are always going to crave a level of human nature. And it's already happening. Like I see with my daughter, she grew up in digital age. The kids are so much the Gen Z, the whole thing, just so funny. They crave actually hardcover books and like physical media where I think as humans, we all eventually crave something real and tangible. I'm looking at it instead of being fearful. Okay, what tools can do this? But I think what it does to humanity makes us resilient. It forces us to look at things in a different way and change the way that we use a tool or change the way that we work around it. So it might make certain types of things obsolete, which happens as humans evolve no matter what. But what does it do? At the end of the day, we also have to interact with each other as actual humans in the real world. So it will have a space, but I don't think it'll ever, I don't know. There will always be a natural crave, even if there's a pendulum swing, it'll,
I agree with you.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the pendulum swing is a real thing too. I think
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
seeing like younger generation wanting to
I'm a
be.
history major. Like I've seen it. I'm like, okay, wait, we're on the conservative swing. We'll be able to, it just,
Yeah,
it goes back. It's human nature. Humans
yeah.
have not changed ever. It's just,
There's
we
nothing new under the sun.
never, no, not at all. You, it's yeah, as a Christian, that you will. I read like when I read the Bible, like there's nothing we can think, do, or say that hasn't already been
Hasn't
done
been done. Yeah,
before us. We're not unique, like in that sense, and so it
that is
can
true.
exactly. So the more we can humble ourselves around that, the more we can find our place and carve our avenue out in the world and make a proper purpose. Yes.
Well, this was such a nice conversation. I was so
Yes. It was so much
gained
fun.
on today,
Yeah.
and I look forward to learning more about your work and following you. I'm going to check out your website. So tell us again, it's heathersimco.com. That's
Yep.
HEATHERSIM as in Mary
Mhm. Yes,
CO.com.
exactly. And
And
that's all my social medias. Luckily, I'm the only Heather Simco out here doing this. So it's all of my
I'm the
social
same.
tags.
Danielle Tantone. It's very unique. There's not
Like,
a lot.
I lucked out.
So yeah,
The
I'm the
better other Heather Simco out there didn't have my same idea. So I'm
same.
fortunate.
It's so nice to meet you and talk to
Yeah.
you. I'll
Likewise.
I'll drop your website and stuff into the show notes.
Yeah. Follow each other. Like I said, I've got my retreat coming up. I'd love to
That would be
continue working
awesome.
and seeing which
Yeah.
ways we can help each other grow.
Perfect. Thank you so
Yes.
much for reaching
You're
out to me.
welcome. Likewise.
Later. Thanks for listening to Piece of Work, the podcast.